So here's a short story where once again a gal chooses a low-life bad boy, a total scumbag, and it completely comes back to bite her in the butt down the road, and she chooses him over her female best friend. This low-life is her older brother, and now is begging for a second chance, and that ain't happening here. And I'm going to go over here, guys, to show you how so many gals just, they pick that low life, and you shouldn't feel bad for them, and will hurt everybody else in the process to get that guy because he gives the butterflies, and look what happens. Titled, Am I the a-hole for not supporting my ex-best friend after my brother put her in the hospital? Now listen to this. She says, this is from the perspective of this girl here. She says, my brother was a jerk to me my whole life. He's 2 years older and blamed me for his dad leaving. We have different dads. We were raised by my mom, who was very much checked out, and that made me an easy target. He wished me DEAD, called me a WHORE, and got other kids to bully me in school, and every chance he got, he told me he wished I wasn't his sister. Okay, so this guy's a total scumbag. He hates his sister for some reason, and I believe that she's being truthful here, that this guy's a lowlife. Anyhow, I had a best friend growing up through all that, Sammy. Her dad and siblings were also really great, and they took me in as family because they knew mine really sucked. When we were 16 years old, Sammy betrayed me in the worst way by starting to date my brother. Man, let me tell you, girls will turn on each other for a guy anytime, any day of the week. So this friend of hers who's been there through all this knows how much of a lowlife her brother is, how horrible this brother is to this girl telling the story here, but still chooses him. She probably thought he was damaged. He probably gave her some BS story. And by the way, in the comment section, she really gets into details how her friend here knew this guy was a lowlife. Well, you can't blame this girl for being pissed. I told her I would never forgive her. She tried to make it seem like I was the bad guy, and how dare I tell her who she could and could not date. This girl was well aware of who her brother was. This guy was destined for prison. She knew what my brother was like and still went and dated him. I had to pull away from her because I couldn't be around her, but I did tell her dad. Sammy hated me for it because her dad did everything to get her away from my brother. Well, that probably made her more attracted to the brother, this scumbag brother. And by the way, she said this happened at 16. So years have passed since then. So I got a call a couple weeks ago, and it was Sammy's dad. My brother put Sammy in the hospital, and her dad wanted to give me a heads up in case my brother tried to come for me. There you go. Destined for prison, the low-life scumbag bad boy puts this girl in the hospital. Now, is that wrong? Of course it's wrong. He's horrible. That shouldn't happen to anybody. But is anybody that surprised? But these types are drawn to guys like that, and there's a point you don't feel bad for them. Sammy tried reaching out to me. When I realized it was her calling, I shut it down. She kept trying, and I ignored and blocked her calls. I'd block her too. She had her sister reach out while we were talking, and she took the phone off her sister, and she told me she needed me, and I told her to go to hell. So this chick betrayed the girl telling this story, got involved with her low-life brother who was just complete garbage to her on so many fronts, said he wanted her dead and called her a whore and all that type of thing and made her life miserable. And after years, now she wants this girl to take her back. No way. A few more attempts were made, and then one of her siblings called while Sammy was there, and they asked how I could do that, and shouldn't I understand what my brother is like, and be there for the girl who was there for me until she made a mistake. There you go, the mistake thing. It wasn't a mistake. She deliberately was fooling around with that brother behind this girl's back, even though knowing what he was doing. That wasn't a mistake. And it's apples and oranges when they were there for her. Come on here. I said that there was no coming back from that, and I refused to believe she was manipulated. That was an easy cop-out, and I owe her nothing. They tried to insult me, but I ended the call and blocked that number. I've had a long list of blocked numbers the last couple weeks. Am I the a-hole? No, you're not the a-hole. Okay? This girl wasn't manipulated. She knew who your brother was and how awful he was to you, and yet she still wanted to be with him anyway because she was drawn to the bad boy. End of story. And isn't it a big surprise that years later the bad boy put her in the hospital? And that's horrible. That shouldn't happen to anybody, but that tends to happen with some of these scumbags. This guy's destined for prison. And so this girl here owes her nothing. And she, in the comment section, really gets into like how bad he was to her and how the girl thought her friend supposedly said he was scum and nobody should date him. It was all a big scam. And so that is a betrayal. So yeah, she owes this girl nothing. So anyhow, once again, the situation where, and this happens so many times, that you have a gal who goes for the low life, the scumbag, and everybody tells her that he is trouble, he's going to be in prison, all these things are going to happen. Nope, nope, nope. She doesn't want to hear it because she sees that he's damaged and feels bad for him or something like that. He gives her the tingles, he's unpredictable. And look what happens. And the worst thing is when these guys do these things to these gals and they make excuses for them. Now, someone might label me as victim blaming. And there's a point, nobody should be harmed, but there's a point when somebody is willingly, repeatedly dating or getting involved with guys like that, then you don't feel bad for them. Or just like a guy who repeatedly gets involved with women that hurt him and take advantage and all that, you don't feel bad for him. Now, this woman's been with this guy for a while, and she knew what she was getting into, and so this is why I don't feel bad for her. But anyhow, a few comments here before I wrap this up. One guy says here, I don't believe she was manipulated. She witnessed his mistreatment of me. She was no, excuse me. This is her comments. This is a few comments that she had. She says, I don't believe that she was manipulated. She witnessed his mistreatment of me. She was the person who said he was dangerous, had to be avoided. Right there. Dangerous, had to be avoided. Back then she knew. But that didn't matter to her. Yeah, she let him in enough to manipulate her, if you believe that. She spoke to him enough for it to happen, and she didn't say anything until they were together. She hid it from me. Both treated me awfully. He was evil to me, but I had no love or trust in him, but I had all that for her, and I was betrayed. So her friend here knew all about what he was like when he was young. Another thing she said here is because she knew who he was and what he was, and apparently talked to him enough to manipulate and kept it from me. She didn't come to me and say he tried to talk to her at all before I found out that stuff, and that doesn't happen overnight. She even said that he was the last person any girl should date, and yet she did. Yeah, well, how many times girls have said things like, you're the last guy in the world I'd ever date, the next thing you know, she's having his babies. She also says, well, we didn't talk for years because of this. He felt sick that his daughter, she's talking about the dad, he felt sick that his daughter was dating someone like my brother, and he apologized for what she did. He also said he'd always be there for me if I needed someone, but he understood that I had to pull away because I couldn't be around her. Yeah, so it didn't work out for the dad trying to get her away from this low life. She also says here, it wasn't just one mistake, though she made it quite clear it was no mistake. She wanted him and didn't care how he treated me. I'd never be able to be friends with her again. The idea of being around someone who could see what he did to me and still date him repulses me. Well, guys, like I said, all friendships can go out the door between women if there's a guy involved they really like. Whether it's a guy that was a boyfriend to the one, or someone that did the girl wrong, or even an evil brother. It's amazing to me how gals can turn on each other. And I know this very well because I had a gal, when I was 16, I had a girlfriend, and her best friend was hot for me. And I knew darn well I was going to get more action from the other friend, so I broke up with the one and dated the other one. Was that low? Yes, but I was 16. And she dated her, and she betrayed her best friend for me, right? I had my Chad moments when I was younger. And then obviously then things didn't work out, and then she blamed me for breaking up their friendship. How about that? So girls will turn on each other for a guy, and it's proven there. So in this situation here, it was this low-life scumbag brother, and the friend didn't care. And now here she is years later in the hospital. So I don't blame this girl at all. It's like, nope, not getting involved, not at all. There you go. At the end of the day, they choose the bad boys, and look what happens.